That's good.
So I hereby call the February meeting of the Monteagle City Council to order. And I failed to find someone willing to open this with an invocation. Dan, would you do that for us?
Let's pray.
Dan?
Our Father, we thank you again this afternoon for the opportunity we have to conduct the business of the town of Monteagle. We thank you for the town that we live in, the county and the communities, and we just thank you for all that support us by way of the police and fire and rescue and all of the EMS people. We just commit them to thee and thank you for all their work. And we just ask your blessing on our council today as we convene and work on the issues of the day and continue to make the decisions in the proper way and seek thy leading in all that we say and do. So we commit our way to you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Dan, for doing that on the fly. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Debbie, would you do the roll call?
Dane,
Present.
Grant,
Here.
Dale,
Here.
Blake,
Here.
Mayor,
All right. Council, we have both beer board minutes and council meeting minutes from last month that need to be approved, that were summarized thanks to AI.
We're gonna do those separately.
I use the term summary loosely, they're pretty long, but all the details are there. No, I think we can do them together.
Okay, well then, I have a couple of concerns about the minutes for the meeting I wanted to bring up. I don't know if you want to do it after we get a motion or...
Let's do that. Let's do a motion second and then discussion.
I'll make a motion we accept the minutes from the previous meetings.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. We have a second. Okay, we got a second. All right, now discussion, and I'll bring them up. Grant, you tell me where you want to go.
On the meeting minutes, there were just a couple of things that I think we understand kind of what happened, but for anybody looking back on these minutes in the future could get a little confused. So Debbie, I don't know, hate to put more work on you, but I don't know if we have a different AI platform or some adjustments that we can make to it. Like the first, I'll just bring up a couple of things that were a little off, but the first one is on the third, fourth page. If we could number these in the future, that'd be great too. But on the fourth page, the 25th anniversary mural bullet, it's not really understand why it goes under, I'm sorry, under the business support strategy, it talked about proposing a $20,000 to $25,000 line item in the upcoming budget to hire a professional social media contractor. And I believe when I spoke about that, it was $2,000 to $2,500 instead of that, so the numbers got inflated a little bit. So that's one item. The next page over, item 2, fiscal oversight and operations. It's got Alderman Grant and Nate in there, and at least one of those bullets actually was brought up by Dean about police equipment. There's just some mislabeling of who brought up what, and then several pages back, sorry I don't have the page number, but when we get to the second updated legislative status box,
First update.
there's the first one. The second one's on the next page. This box kind of gets repeated over and over and under different headings, which can be just a little bit confusing since it doesn't seem to fit into either the ordinance or the subject head from the previous pages. So I would just ask that we take a look at that and see why this updated business legislative summary, and then an updated business legislative summary, and then another one. And then going on further, where we talk about the Monteagle Market, a couple pages. One more down. Monteagle Market, it's got Andy Bagenstas' name there. The first bullet, the revised site plan, and signage complaint, yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with that, and I don't recall us talking about that site plan. That was a planning commission review. And then further down, the last bullet about the connection has been navigating the Board of Zoning Appeals and Planning Commission to align this project with Imagine Monteagle aesthetic standards. I'm not sure what that is. I think that was referring to the Misty Market.
I think so too.
So that's
Somebody
just,
was talking confusing. The computer can't figure it out.
yeah, so I think just that whole kind of label, this whole Monteagle Market with all the bullets are a little bit out of whack and don't really, they don't really closely relate to, I think, what we were talking about. Underneath that last bullet where they voted unanimously to keep the mountain market with the Chamber of Commerce, that is incorrect. We voted unanimously to give the Chamber of Commerce access to Hannah Pickett Park for the Monteagle Mountain Market. So then, what was the last one? And then again, on the next to last page, or maybe, no, I guess it's the next to last page, it talked about the 20,000 in a summary, talked about the 20,000 to 25,000 range for digital presence. Again, that was the 2,000 to 2,500. So those are just some examples of some items in the minutes that are not very accurately reflected, and I would hate for somebody in a year or so to come back and look at these minutes and have them misrepresented. So I don't mind approving these minutes right now at this meeting, but I think we need to maybe address how AI is capturing everything.
Well, so Debbie, are you putting a recording of the meeting into AI? So is there the possibility to try it in a couple of different platforms so that we can look and see which one we like best? And so do we want to then, so we have lots of amendments now on the table, do we want to approve them as amended? We could also probably table them and run these through another time, which may make more sense.
It would make the minutes more accurate if we did try it again and try to get out some of these missteps. And again, I'm more concerned about somebody coming back to these minutes in the future than us understanding them right now.
So we have a motion to that effect then?
I'd like to make a motion that we delay the approval of the minutes until we put it under a different platform and see what it generates.
I'll second that.
And does this motion have to do with both the beer board minutes and the city council meetings, or just city council?
Just
Okay.
city council meeting.
All right, any more discussion on that motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Well, then let's look at the beer board minutes, which I don't think were brought to us by Meta.
I would make a motion, we approve the minutes of the Monteagle Beer Board February 2nd as presented here.
I'll second.
Motion?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, do we have any citizen comments? And I had, one of the ladies running for public office, I let her know, typically, right after citizens' comments comes the mayor's comments, and in lieu of that, I thought I'd let any council, any people who are running for elected office come up and introduce themselves during that time. But are there any citizens who have comments pertaining to the council tonight? Okay, then we'll move right on to candidate comments, and I know there's at least one candidate here, two of them. Okay. 3 of them. Okay, great. Well, in the only in the order of people that I knew were here as candidates, would you like to start? and then go around the room. That works. Okay. And the mic should be on.
Good evening. My name is Kelly Hogan. I am running for trustee for Marion County. So some of you may not be registered voters in Marion County. Some of you may. And if you are, I would love your votes. I'm running for Marion County trustee. I have 25 years of banking and financial experience. I worked in the financial world, mortgage brokering. I also taught mortgage brokering for the state of Florida for a number of years, was principal mortgage broker for a number of years, and I would absolutely love your vote that you would please give that to me. In August, I'm running as an independent.
Thanks.
Hello everyone, I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Pixie Kilgore and I recently announced that I'm running for District 2 County Commissioner, Seat B. I have lived in Marion County my entire life and I do think community is very important. My background is in the insurance industry where I did project management along with financials such as state market conduct exams, working with internal auditors within the business sector, and I was also an account contact for the state of Tennessee, which we provided the life insurance for all policemen, teachers, and so on for many years. I was one of their lead contacts, over 50,000 insureds. So I do feel like that this election is important, and I want you guys to know that I'm very dedicated. I want to be accessible and accountable for this particular role, and that I'm looking forward to hearing what's important to folks, getting out and talking to folks. Had a very good experience with that so far. And I'm also running as an independent candidate, so you will see my name on August 6th. I believe the early vote window is July 17th through August 1, and I would be honored to earn your vote, and I thank you again.
Thanks.
I don't think sometimes I need a mic, but I'll put it up here. I got a loud mouth, loud voice. I'm Anthony Gamble. I'm running for sheriff of Marion County. I've got 32 years of experience. I'm a sergeant on day shift right now with the sheriff's department. I've lived in Marion County all my life. My wife Shannon's with me. She's also a resident of Marion County. I'm looking for votes, and I'm running as a Democrat party. I'll be in the primary, but nobody can test it. I'll move on to general. So I'm just out here to let you know I'm running for sheriff. I appreciate y'all's vote. Thank you.
Are there any other candidates that are here tonight? The one that reached out, he's here. Maybe he'll come next time. All right, moving on to the calendar of events. The mayor does a good job of getting all those put together. I haven't done nearly as good a job of it, but I think that Grant, is this your document that's been put up here?
This is Iva's, and well, yeah, I guess it's mine too.
Well, mind if I read it?
No, go for it, go for it.
I just want to give you all credit for it, because, so the first event on this schedule, this is the Imagine Monteagle Tourism Committee list of events, looking April through December 21st, so I'm sure that others will be added. But April 4th, Spring Fest at Harton Park. This is an event that they're doing in cooperation with the Mountain Goat Trail Spring Fun Run Race, so that'll be from 12 to 3 at Harton Park. July 4th, Music in the Park, Hannah Pickett Park from 7 to 9. July 11th, Music in the Park, Hannah Pickett Park from 7 to 9. And then again on July 18th, they're going to be live music in Hannah Pickett Park again from 7 to 9. So that's exciting. Final Music in the Park is going to be July 25th, Harton Park again from 7 to 9. There's a Mountain Goat Trail pedal party on October 3rd. Details, I think, to be determined on that. November 28th, Carols in the Park. That's cool. I'm going to be at that. I like to sing Christmas carols. Harton Park, time to be determined. Christmas tree trail will be up all month of December. And it looks like we're going to do carols in the park on 4 different occasions. So November 28th, December 7th, December 14th, and December 21st. So I will have lost my voice by that time. But so this is exciting. I want to thank all the tourism committee for putting this together. It's really fun to see the community putting in effort to make sure that our town is doing a lot of good events. So are there other events that need to go on the calendar that I have failed to mention?
Monteagle Mountain Market.
July 25th.
Fair enough, and that is the last weekend in July.
25th. 4th and 5th.
July 24th and 25th, and that'll be here in Hardin Park. Thank you.
No, Hannah
Hannah
Pickett.
Pickett.
And if you'll notice, the July 25th Music in the Park, that's on the calendar here, is
Oh.
in Hardin Park, so that'll coincide with the,
In coordination with the festival. Great, okay. All right. Let's move on to reports of committee members, starting with the police.
Good afternoon, citizens of Monteagle Board. I just got a few things to go over in your packets there. We'll go over the numbers for the month real quick. We had 1 public intoxication, 1 driving or revoke suspended, 1 violation of border protection, 158 business checks. We had 2 simple assaults, 2 domestics, 2 drug-related cases. We had 3 thefts, 2 of which were identity thefts. We stopped 40 vehicles, issued 22 citations and 18 warnings, but a total of 416 calls dispatched through the 911 center, and we had 5 crashes. They were all on private, well, 4 were on private property, 1 was on the main road. So that went up a little bit from last month, but the majority of them were on private property. They were either at like CVS and were bumped into somebody or something like that, so they weren't major crashes there. So those are our numbers from January 15th to February 15th.
All right.
All right, the second thing we got is I've got the information that Alderman Way was wanting about the firearms. So as you can see, Councilman, there were, I've got a quote from Fox's, also got a quote from Campbell's Armory that if they wish to purchase it outright, they looked at the weapons, and they said that they would give us, let's see here, Fox has said it would be a total of 600. Campbell's said 680. And then of course, C&G Defense, they're the ones that are going to actually build the weapons for us. They are a armorer, they are licensed. All 3 of these individuals are licensed to sell and firearms, and they're licensed to accept and buy firearms. You'll see on the first one, the original quote that C&G came back to us. I said, I'm not a gun guy, that seems kind of high. That was without any trade-in, or anything like that.
Talking about quotes for purchase now, not trade-in.
Correct. So, and then of course and I misunderstood. Well, I won't say I misunderstood. Actually, I let a sergeant who is basically put all this together for me. So on the original quote, and I have to go back and I have to correct myself because I really wasn't the one handling this. This quote for 17,975, it's going to be the second one. That was with the weapons being traded in. I wasn't aware of that at the time. So that's what that number is with those weapons traded in. And that's my fault for not even, looking that up. But on the other one here,
It's not on the quote. It's not on the quote.
Correct, and it's not. And on the C&G Defense, where the trade-in value, I guess it's the next page, if you scroll up or down.
Yeah.
It's this one here. That's where it's the breakdown. he would buy them from us for $700, but he gives us a trade-in value of $12. And the reason being is he's an armorer and he says he can build them and do whatever he's gonna do and sell them out. So, you know, that's where we are with the firearms.
So we had approved this up to a certain limit
Correct.
and wanted to see what the trade-in values were.
Correct. And in my mistake, I didn't realize that that number that I gave you was with the trade-in. So I can reduce one of the firearms and make it work. So make the number that you gave me work, or with your trade-in firearms in. So
What did we approve?
I think it was the 17.
yes, sir. It was that one there. Yes, sir.
We are also allowed to sell these?
You are. Yes, sir. You are.
It's the second one, that's right. Not that one, it's the next one.
So Dean, are you thinking about selling them at public auction? Is that what you're?
Whatever the law prescribes.
Yeah, you can sell them at public auction if you want to, or you can sell them to
Surplus.
a surplus or an actual, you know, get 3 bids like I did and sell them out of, you know, your Foxes or whomever.
I
You can
think
do
we
that.
need to keep these transactions separate, especially now since there was a potential screw up there.
Correct, and that's on me, so.
Well, I mean, everybody's entitled, but everybody does that. We're not the
Yes,
only
sir.
one. But I think it kind of muddies the water now if
I agree.
I would make a motion that the rifles that existing that are declared surplus be sold publicly, either by public auction or bids from just be a licensed firearm.
Yes, sir, that's all the law requires, as long as they're licensed, they can bid on it.
And I guess if we did the public thing, they could bid on them.
They could.
Yeah, so
If
they
yes,
would
sir.
in fact, if they were interested,
Correct.
submit their not to exceed price.
I see.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
So would we need then to,
So we would amend instead of getting 8 firearms, it would be probably 6 firearms, so.
so we either reduce the firearms or we amend our budget allocation?
Correct.
But this was taken out of drug fund money,
Yes,
and you will not have enough drug fund money then to purchase the
Correct.
original number, I'm assuming is what.
you would be correct, yes, sir. You would be correct.
And that would be the 19,975?
Yes, sir, you would be correct.
How much are we lacking in drug fund to make up whatever difference it was?
I could not give you the exact number. I don't know the exact number. I can get with Debbie and have that to you guys.
And we're talking $2,000, right?
Roughly. Or, you know, I can, and this was the other suggestion and to the board, and obviously we got a budget hearing coming up for the 26, 27. You know, what we don't get, then maybe we can look at getting the next budget year. So, I mean, it's just where, we got a few options.
We got a motion on the floor to
Separate the 2 transactions.
sell them under a bid. I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I think that motion carried.
Yep.
And the purchase of the, how many were there total, chief?
8.
8 total.
Yes, sir. There was a total of 8.
Would we need to do a budget amendment if we went ahead with the 8 and made up the difference? Or just do the 6 now and look at
I would say that'd be the most
budget?
prudent thing to do.
Okay,
The 6 now?
yeah,
I think that would be the most.
the next budget for the.
Yeah, I think it's cleaner.
If you're
It
good with
is.
that,
I think that would be the best thing to do.
we need a motion on that.
Well, we have a question from the...
What y'all gonna do with these firearms? I think y'all putting the cart before the horse here, guys. Y'all gotta get somebody qualified to use the firearms and know what to do and how to arrest somebody. I got a no bill in Marion County this last week, and I got arrested twice over all this. You got to get a police department before you can get in firearms.
Well, thanks for that comment.
I'm serious.
All right, so do we have a motion on the floor
To buy six.
to buy six?
Yes, I'll make that motion.
All right, motion's made. Does it have a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion on that motion?
For discussion, we've already approved 17,900, whatever it is.
But it was for eight
Okay,
guns.
so by saying it's for 8, then that negates that. Okay.
Yeah, so I think we need to, I think, and maybe this is an amendment to the motion, but I think to be clear, we should approve 6 at the purchase price listed in.
Not to exceed that amount.
Yeah, not to exceed that amount.
Yeah, it'll be a lesser amount.
Yes, sir.
In the quote dated,
The per unit price will still be the same.
Yes, sir.
yeah, in the quote dated March 31st, 2025. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I think we actually need to do it again, just to be legit. So Dan, would you accept my amendment to the motion?
Second that amendment to the motion. The motion is to purchase six rifles.
At the price quoted
At the price
in
quoted.
C&G Defense
Yes.
dated March 31st, 2025.
Correct.
Okay, we have a second on that new motion.
I'll second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's the rule on that. I think we need to have, since it's a budget.
You're right.
Money thing, we need to have a roll call
It's gonna
vote.
be roll call.
It says that price is valid until April 31st, 2025.
So if they choose not to adhere to that price, we'll have to have another vote on it. So that'll be up to them. So we will, I guess, need a roll call vote. All right. Dean?
No.
Grant?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Me? Yes. All right, that's
Next.
approved.
Huh? How much do they offer in trade-in? 1,200. Well, that's what I had, okay.
Yes,
1,200,
yeah.
yeah.
All right, so the last thing I'm gonna go over, and I brought it up before several times, but I felt it necessary to bring up again. If we have a complaint, and this is to the citizens as well, on an officer, on myself, or on whomever in the town, we fill out a written complaint form. You guys all have one. We've had these. You fill out the written complaint form. Once you fill out the written complaint form, then here's another form that you put down the person that's doing the complaint, the offense that they said happened to them in any video, in any audio, whatever the case may be. And then we can actually do an internal investigation. So if it's on me, we don't do the internal investigation. We reach out to Grundy County Sheriff's Department, to their chief deputy or whomever they choose to investigate me. They do the investigation. As long as someone fills something out, they make the allegation. It has to be in writing for the investigation to take place. We can't just investigate people on rumors or conjecture, things of that nature, right? So we do that. If there is something to be found, then it leaves my department, it goes to the district attorney's office. They're the higher power. And if the district attorney investigates it and they find that there is evidence to move forward, then it gets sent to the TBI. TBI is the one that does investigations on most police departments or other things of that nature. So these are the way, and kind of explain how it's supposed to work, and and I get it, people gonna have complaints or whatever the case may be, and I truly want, if there's a reasonable complaint, fill these forms out. You can come to the police department. There's if we're not there, there's a number on the front door. You call it. It's to the non-emergency dispatch number. They would dispatch someone to the police department to get this form. This person can take this packet home. They can fill it out. They bring it back, and then the investigation starts. Any investigation that starts, I notify my subordinate, which is the mayor. So the mayor would know if I had a written complaint on anyone. And that's just the way it is. So unless I get this, I'm not going to do an investigation on just rumors. I mean, it'd be like, you saying, hey Nate, I heard you robbed a store down the road, I'm going to arrest you and take you there, without having any proof. We want to make sure that we have proof. We want to make sure that there's something to investigate, because everyone deserves that opportunity. Now, once you get investigated, if you've done something wrong, you get fined, or you go to jail, whatever the case is going to be. So I just wanted to bring this up once again. I brought this up when I was assistant chief. I brought it up when I took over as chief. Granted, I didn't show the form, but we've had the form. So, I just wanted to bring that back up.
So, and do you know, since you've been here, have there been any formal complaints lodged against any
We
of our
have not
officers?
had any written formal complaints. Now, have we had complaints based on arrests that have been sent up to a higher power? Absolutely. And those have been investigated, and those have been cleared.
So tell me the difference between the two. So
let's say I arrest you, and you felt I violated you in some, your civil rights, or whatever the case may be. Then it's your right to reach out to the district attorney's office, file that complaint. That complaint's not going to come to me. I wouldn't file a complaint with my department. I'd go to a higher power. I'd go to the district attorney.
So there have been complaints filed in that regard?
We've had two. One was for excessive force, and the other one was for perjury. They've both been investigated. They've both been cleared.
So those cases are then closed?
With the district attorney, yes.
And do you get documentation of that when that occurs?
Typically you don't, but you can ask for it. Typically, when the district attorney knows what they're going to do. However, I have asked for a letter for the district attorney to give me the documentation so I can give it to Greg Maloof, the mayor, and so that he can distribute down to you guys if you want it.
Okay.
Still waiting on it. So.
Rodney, you had
Okay. First off, y'all have had a complaint on you. The DA's already turned it in tonight. And I got a no bill in Marion County 2 weeks ago. I beat the case in Grundy County. You knew about everything. You should have took care of it, investigated your officer, and you didn't. Because you was more involved than he was. You told him what to do. Okay? So it's going to cost this town probably about $500,000 right now.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I don't want it to cost this town this much. I live here, I got a lot of businesses here. But y'all need to know and be trained right before y'all turn to loose, because the DA is already after him and going to come after you. You probably know it, and you sit here and laugh about it.
I do find it amusing, yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead and laugh about it if you want to, but I got a no bill. I wanted a jury trial down there. They wouldn't give me one because they said your officer was a liar. That said, he was a point liar. Call down there and find out. It's public record. You don't have to laugh at me. You know what happened.
So
This is
Rodney,
not a trial, but go ahead.
I think what I'm understanding here is that you might have gone straight to the DA and bypassed the town of Monteagle complaint form.
No, sir. The DA took it over, sir.
Okay. Well,
I mean, when you do wrong and you go to jail and you go in front of the DA and they take it over, you don't have to ask him for nothing. He should have investigated this before it ever happened, but he was a part of the problem out there.
So
him and the officer, he told his officer what to do.
So
He don't know the law.
So it sounds like then, when we get documentation from the DA's office, that'll help clarify Rodney's concerns.
No, it won't, but yes.
Okay, Scott, did you have a comment?
Yes, sir. How long have these papers been in effect that you've got there?
We've had these here since I've been here.
Okay, so after I got falsely arrested, I came to talk to you at your office, and you told me you could not give me any information, and there was nothing I could do about complaining, that I had to go talk to Grundy County.
You're exactly right. I didn't make the charge on you, sir. We were there as per our agreement to back up Grundy until they get there. We were there to make sure no one get hurt. Rodney will get to in a minute. No one got hurt. So we got there. I remember that day, okay? We don't typically write a report unless we're the one who made the arrest. We didn't make the arrest, like I told you. I was extremely nice and said, sir, I don't have a report to give you because we don't typically do this unless we make an arrest or someone got hurt and I have to do a supplemental report. That's when we would have done a report for you, but because the Grundy County Sheriff's Department actually made the arrest, I was now out of it. So there was nothing for me to give you. I would love to have given it to you, but there's nothing for me to give you.
I asked for the information, because Monteagle arrived on the scene first. Monteagle was called first about my dogs being kidnapped. And that's why they were called to the scene.
Okay?
You showed up at the very last of the scene.
Yes, sir, I
I
did.
truly believe I would not have been arrested if it had not been you in the background saying, arrest him, go ahead and arrest him.
That's not exactly how it went.
Well, would you like to watch the video?
So it sounds like, Scott, there is still recourse because regardless of whether or not you filed charges, you are still entitled to file a complaint. Is that right? Is that right,
I've
Chief?
been told that now, but when I spoke to the chief before, he told me I did not have any recourse except for going to Grundy County.
Well, Chief,
That's my only question.
can you make
And
sure?
I was not expecting this at all tonight, trust me.
Can you make sure that Scott gets the appropriate forms to be able to file that complaint if he would like to?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You can do it right now.
And Rodney, you have access to those as well?
Access to what?
To the complaint forms if you choose to do that?
Yeah, but I want to ask everybody up on the board tonight a question. I like to get an answer and I'll be quiet. Them forms right there you fill out and everything, when I got arrested, and within 10 minutes, the body cam was on Facebook and everybody was seeing it, you know what I mean? Why should I come into him that ain't an honest person? I ain't going to come in and say, hey, put all my stuff, investigate me on Facebook. It hurt my business. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's on there hurt my business. Y'all took and give it to somebody in this room here and put it on Facebook right then. I ain't filling out your forms. I fill out the forms down there for the DA.
It sounds like there were two options and you chose the second, so
No,
that's fine.
they want nothing about them forms. Like I say, the DA, they had my information and everything I done on Facebook within 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Can I recant to that?
Yes, only
Just
here.
one question. It wasn't 10 minutes, actually. Someone came in several days later and filled out a FOIA request. And basically what that
Who
is.
was it? You tell me who it was. You got to tell me.
I don't know exactly who it is, but I can, it's in my office.
I know he's in this room. I know who it is.
It's actually, the person's not in this room, actually.
Yeah.
They really aren't, and I have put it down.
I mean, why would you want somebody to fill out that form and give the video of all the evidence, your side and my side, and put it all over Marion County? And right there?
It sounds like if a FOIA request was done,
It was.
that's the way our government works, that people have the right to do that and do that with their information. So
Right.
unless Rodney, you got some new information, I think Tony wanted to speak, and we don't want to take up the whole night talking about this. I just want to try to give everybody an
I just know
opportunity
we
to
got to
speak.
get some law enforcement that knows the law and know what to do before you get somebody killed here.
Well, it sounds like Mr. Pilkington has some options
He does.
to file it, and it sounds like we can get some information from the DA's office to help us understand as a board more about what's going on.
Correct.
They're gonna find, I was gonna ask is these being officers, could be employees for the town of Monteagle.
Sure.
Why can't the complaint forms be handled here at City Hall like all the other employees' complaint forms is? They've got complaint forms in there. If someone has a problem, they come up here and they get a complaint form. They fill it out, they turn it in, then it comes to the board on the night of the meeting. This stuff is not hid away from the board.
Well, I don't think it can be hid away from the board if it's a complaint process.
I've been to Ray Line there 2 or 3 times, and it's just like, talking to that camera out there, it's just a waste of time to have a conversation with him. But if it's here, when you fill that complaint form out, it's gonna be here, and really and truly, if the whole board don't read it, the mayor's got to file 13 in there, that I think that's where they go.
Well, tell me this, Debbie, in terms of process, if we have a complaint form against an employee, Rayline is an employee. So I would think, Tony, you can come to City Hall and file a complaint against him. Yeah.
A written complaint form.
So the fact that the police
I
have.
filled one out before in here.
We have them in the office.
Yeah, I think the fact that the chief has his own policy doesn't negate your ability to come to
That's
City
where a lot
Hall
of
and do a
problems
separate
at.
one.
I've come in here and filled them out before, didn't have any problem whatsoever, but every time I go to the police department, I need a couple officers there one afternoon. We went to the police department and almost ended up getting into a fight down there. So I'll be honest with you, I quit going. I respect a couple of those officers, but there's a couple of them there that, I'm telling you, skin that flagpole out there backward and tell you a lie rather than stand at the bottom, but be honest with you.
Well, it sounds like you could come to City Hall and do a complaint against an officer if you'd like to take that route, if that makes you feel better. Are there other questions for the chief?
Yes, explain to me how you feel like if someone is questioning the professionalism of a particular officer or the attitude of a particular officer, that they're not, I think they're going to feel intimidated that they have to go to the police department and perhaps get that form from that officer, potentially. And I don't think that's right. I think we have problems in our police department with some officers' attitude and the way they treat the public, and that is very unprofessional. And I don't know, most of the time, you're not going to get, I don't think you're going to get a true and fair picture when you're investigating yourself. And it's kind of like the bigger police departments usually have a different setup than just regulate yourself and let us know if there's a problem. There's remedies to that, and I told citizens when they used to say they had to come to City Hall and file a written complaint about anything. Well, a lot of people feel like they're being intimidated, whether it's the police department or City Hall or whatever it is. And since before I was elected to council, and since I've been on the council, I've told the citizens, if you have a complaint and you feel that you are being intimidated about bringing that forward, tell me what your complaint is. Since I'm on the council, I will go and check that out. And I have not done it with you or any department head. I talked to the mayor about it, and the mayor asked me to come to him. And I have done that. And as you can attest to, I think. Exactly. Yeah. And in the case of Scott Pilkington, he was telling me about our involvement in his case, and I submitted an email to the mayor, and he sent it to someone in your department. Yes, to me and to Sergeant. Yeah, and one of the first things on there, and over the 8 or 9 months I've been on here, or how long I've been on the council, I've asked you several times about body cameras. And you have told me in each and every case that the officers were them and their own when they were. And so I asked for a copy of the body cam footage on Scott's deal. And the first thing that came back was, oh, the officer forgot it and left it at the office, and it was on the charger, and he was given a verbal reprimand.
You are correct.
Yeah. Well, you know, that sounds like something you see on Nashville News that the Nashville Police Department's doing. There's no confidence, when people get answers like that. And I think those are the concerns, and you've got, including yourself, I think there's 8 funded officers.
Correct. Yeah,
and you can have 1 or 2 that gives everybody a bad name as far as their attitude in dealing with the people out here. And I think we need to go back to community policing where the officers know and learn the citizens of Monteagle, and we have compliments on Monteagle Police Department. But we also have people that say they have concerns about the officer's attitude. Not that they shouldn't have written them a ticket. Since I've been on here, I've had 2 or 3 say I got stopped by an officer. I was speeding, and he wrote me a ticket. But he had a terrible attitude, and he was very unprofessional.
Right.
And we have those things. My feeling is if you can't take care of them, the next step is that the city council should take care of them. And so that's.
I do appreciate that this form is out there and that there's a process. I do agree with Dean that within a department, anytime there's a formal complaint, it makes sense for, I think, the council to be aware and involved in that complaint. And that's for your preservation as much as anything else, because the appearance of insularity around the police department can be corrosive. And so I'm going to propose, and I guess I got a Robert's Rule of Order question. When I'm acting as mayor, can I actually make a motion, or I have to get someone else to make a motion, right? I think so. So I'm going to ask whether we would consider a motion compelling the chief to change this form so that item 1 says this complaint will be reviewed and investigated by the Monteagle Police Department and the mayor and city council to provide another level of oversight to internal investigations. As a way to, I think, address some of these concerns, because I do think you mentioned a process whereby it could be elevated to the council and to the TBI, but it's not clear in reading this that that's going to happen. And so I wonder if that might be a way to address it. I don't know, I'll put it out there.
Well, I think people are still going to be intimidated by going to the police department and getting that form.
Well, I think there is a separate way. It sounds like any employee can go through a regular complaint form. It probably, any citizen can. Is there any reason why this form shouldn't be side by side the other employee complaint forms at City Hall?
So, correct. Just to get back to Alderman Way, agree with 98% of what you said. 90% of what you said, I agree with. And I'll go into detail here for a minute. I won't take too much time. Yes, this form can be there. I truly do believe if there was, which there's not right now, because there's only one person, but let's say there's an oversight there, okay, for civil complaints. But when you get into a criminal, you don't want the board involved in the criminal. That's where you have law enforcement that does it. Now, it can show, especially if it's something that's an ongoing investigation. Obviously, I wouldn't want to let you guys see something on ongoing investigation, even though I know each and every one of you have high integrity. I wouldn't want maybe you having lunch with a good friend and it slip out like, oh, by the way, this was brought up here of a criminal investigation, right?
So item 4 says internal affairs investigations are administrative and separate from any criminal proceedings.
Correct. So I just wanted to make sure when we bring that up there, and if the complaint, whoever's over giving these out, hey, is this going to be a complaint on I was stopped and this officer was just going to have to jack towards me, or did this officer violate one of my civil rights? And then we can give them the correct form. Does that make sense? So
is there a different form for a criminal complaint against an officer?
Well, so this is basically what this form would be. For me, a criminal. If someone violated one of your rights, or they touched you inappropriately, or if it was a excessive force issue, bring that up, write that in detail, so that we can get the information and we can start an investigation. But if it's
Ronnie, let us wrap this conversation.
But if it's generally, hey, and I truly agree, 1 or 2 people can taint the image. I wholeheartedly agree with that. But if I don't have, let's say, and I would love for each and every one of you, especially you, Mr. Lay, hey, I got a problem. Call me up on the phone. I'll meet you wherever. Come to the police departments. We can meet up here. What's your complaint? Even though I do, and Greg and I've had this conversation multiple times, things get lost in translation sometimes. You can go say something to someone and then they come around and give me dirt and twist on it. It's not exactly what you were trying to bring across, if that makes sense. So I would really love for the fact if you have a complaint, or if someone came up to you and said, hey, this guy pulled me over and he just wasn't a very good officer. Cool, let's get that on there. Let's get that complaint. Let's talk to the officer. Let's get the officer, even if it's just one of course, I don't know how the whole board thing, I'm not kind of get it now. But if it's just one person that you delegate to look into these things, then that person feels that there's enough to bring to the board, let's bring it to the board. Does that make sense, kind of? I mean,
Yeah, real quick. These two forms should be at City Hall, and somebody can come in City Hall and fill it either one of these forms. If it turns out to be something criminal, then we can toss it or hand it over in the right way, and we'll respect the criminal, the investigative process. But both of them should be there. We can make a determination whether this is criminal or personal, so that somebody has the freedom to come in, a little bit less intimidating, to come into Town Hall, fill this thing out, and then we address it the way we should. I'm a little bit at odds, we spent 25 minutes on this conversation, and we're, kind of litigating the police department tonight, which I don't mind doing if that's what the citizens feel like we need to be doing, but I think we need to set up a separate meeting to do this, or dedicate more time to the next city council meeting to litigate this, because I don't have any of the facts of all the stuff that's being talked about, so this is just he said, she said to me right now. I'm not discarding anybody's opinion or anything, but without any of the facts, I can't reprimand chief,
Right.
can't reprimand the citizen or anything like that, so I don't know. I think we don't need to spend a lot of time litigating the police department tonight on this, and I'd be more than happy to call a meeting, and we'll put them all under fire and see what comes out of it, and let the public have at it.
Yeah, I had asked Debbie, and she put it on the agenda for the police department to be on there, and I think we're probably talking about it in regards to his report or something, and that may be wrong. But I'll say, the last thing I'll say, and we can talk about it under new business, is the mayor had asked me, and I have been told by other department heads and employees, not by you, that they are not to speak to the city council members. And I'm not going to ask you if that happened. The mayor's not here to defend himself, so I'm not going to get into that. But he can. I don't. I mean, the rest of them can decide what they know or don't know about that situation. So it's not as easy as you think it is. And like I said, I have never called you or come to you about any issue. I have gone through the channel of the mayor. If you're wondering why you get a copy of an email that I sent to the mayor.
I thought it was just you didn't like me.
Well, I don't know whether I like you or not.
I'm just messing with you.
Even if I didn't like you, I still believe in due process.
Yes, sir. And I truly believe in it too.
And my expectation is that as the chief of police, that you believe in it also. And if you've got 7 other officers, and you think they're all angels, then I think we should have a problem with you.
Well, I don't think that they're all angels.
Okay, that's good to hear.
And I've never said that.
No, and I'm not saying that you did.
Each one of them have their own personalities. I can definitely attest to that. Okay. But at the end of the day, I've not got anything to open. An actual, hey, this is a serious issue.
I'd like to address the department head thing. I heard the same thing, and I told the mayor that simply wasn't going to work, and I would call department heads when I felt the need to call department heads, and I would let him know when I was doing that, and I had done that, and they all answer the phone. So I get your frustration, and I'm not, because I would like the mayor here to be able to hear this, but he's not hearing any. This is nothing he hasn't heard before. All the employees of the town of Monteagle work for the board of mayor and aldermen, so we all should have access to them. And as I said to the mayor, that's different from making day-to-day operational requests of those of those employees, because that falls to the mayor. But getting information, I think we should all feel very open to talking to all our department heads. I saw that there were 2 hands up. I want to wrap up this conversation among us, because I think it's productive, and I think we're getting there. So, are there other comments? Anybody?
I think the whole situation's got a little, I concur with Grant in reference to the time we've spent on this, and I think all of it is probably derived from our new business, the last item of business tonight that we're going to consider, and we are going to talk about. an officer. And I think that it's sort of blown the police report up like a big helium.
I think so, but
And
it is
I'm
what it
sorry
is.
for that, but we are going to hear about this officer, and we are going to deal with this in business tonight. And I apologize if we've sort of drug the hair off this horse, but the fact is, we appreciate your report.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate all that taken care of, and we're going to move on, so.
All right, I did have two hands up, and I'm gonna give them each 30 seconds just to see whether it's germane to the topic, but we do need to move on, particularly if we're gonna talk about this again in new business. Rodney and then Scott.
Okay, first thing, that ain't gonna work because nobody's gonna come in and fill out a form on an officer. A guy wrecks his car, ain't even gonna tell her he got his own tow company. He is scared of the police, don't matter what. I'm not, y'all not, but they ain't gonna come in and fill out a form, no way. It's
Well,
just,
there's got to be a written record in order to begin an investigation. I agree totally with the chief on that. If we're just talking about each other, we don't have anything to go off of. And so there's got to be a written complaint at some
he ain't
point.
gonna investigate himself though.
But
Correct. You're correct, I won't.
I know. The DA and the TBI will go.
Well,
Okay.
I think the way that I tell
You run it for
citizens,
sure.
when they bring it to me, is I listen to them and ask them if they're willing to sign a complaint. And it may not be police department, there's more of it that's not the police department than any of us, okay?
Correct.
But I feel like they shouldn't have to sign their name to a written complaint if there's something going on that's contrary to the policies of the town of Monteagle and how the citizens are being treated, and not just the citizens of Monteagle, but any citizen. And if I have a problem with it, I send the mayor an email. And I would encourage people, if you feel intimidated by the police department or city hall or whatever, if you will send me an email, I will look at it and sit down. And the mayor has always talked to me about it. He's done what he said he would do with it. Time's run out on one thing, but I think that process works real well. And several of the citizens, well, a few of you are here tonight that has called me or run into me and said, this has happened, and I feel like you should be made aware of it. And I appreciate the people doing that. And many times, it doesn't bear fruit.
Then it's actions, y'all gotta show action.
Well, I agree.
Now, you can talk to the mayor all night, and he's talked to me. You gotta do action.
So, but anyway, I think
being
we
good
could,
tonight, Nate.
yeah.
You've done a good job.
Scott, you had 30 seconds.
Thank
We'll
you.
move on.
I was not going to bring this up earlier in the earlier discussion about the sale of city equipment, but given all that's transpired afterwards, Chief, I would like to ask you for another set of paperwork and ask you why that I, as probably the most knowledgeable person on the subject of those guns in a 100-mile radius, and longtime business owner in this county and this immediate area in that business, that I was not consulted or offered to make a bid on there. So I'm asking for a second set of paperwork because I think there should be a complaint made about that. Because it sort of stinks that we've had this issue between us and that I'm not offered this public bid.
Okay, first of all, I was told I only had to have 3 bids from a licensed business. I don't know if you're licensed or not. I don't know that personally, or I don't. Okay, and why, unless you're in a phone book somewhere, well, I don't know that you're licensed, okay?
If I was the chief of police of a town of this size and doesn't know my reputation and standing more than 30 days in employment, I think I'd turn in my resignation.
Your opinion, statement.
Well, in regards to this, I had asked you, I think on 2 occasions about not trading those in, and that I had someone I wanted to be able to look at that.
Correct.
And you said, yes, we can do that.
Correct.
In fact, I haven't heard from you about that and didn't know anything about it until tonight. And the person I was going to get to look at it for me was that man standing right there. And I think I asked you, did I not?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can go back and look at the minutes here and see what the conversation was between you and I.
Well, you are correct. And last month, well, actually, it was the second of this month, for last month's meeting, I brought it up to you that I would have the information tonight, which I brought to you. You guys have made the decision. He's more than welcome to bid on it.
Well, and it's working out now. But
Correct.
It's been it has been kind of foggy about how it all ended up turning out.
And that's the reason why we're having this meeting.
And
so we can-
some of that may have to do with the lack of direct communication.
Right, I mean, but at the end of the day, brought you the information, you guys decided on it. So at the end of the day, what's the board's to do? I brought you the information. Was it the month after? It was not. This is not down my wheelhouse, but I got you the information.
We're going to have another opportunity for citizen comments. I had promised them each 30 seconds, and then I was going to move on. Is this?
It's just a short question.
Okay.
Can these forms not be put online, or can the person who wants to file a complaint just call the city and ask for a form to be mailed to them?
I would put it online, yeah.
That would be fine.
Absolutely.
So then nobody would feel intimidated by
Absolutely.
coming, by being seen.
Yeah,
I mean, I
sounds like a
think
good
that
idea.
that's a
I
simple.
get stuff in the mail, and I've never brought it up here and turned it in because there's no name signed to it. And it may be true, I read it and I think, well, I've got the way, and I think, does that have weight on, has it happened or has it not? And I think, well, if it has, somebody else will mention it also.
Right.
And I feel like I've gotten stuff and been told stuff that had no validity.
Well, if they don't sign it, throw it right, the trash will belong to them.
Yeah, I agree. You gotta have a signature on it. We can't take a bunch of,
Then you'll have everybody on the internet
Yeah.
filling out a blank form that's going nowhere with no signature.
Well, I don't put anything on the internet.
Then it can, that form can be downloaded.
Can be downloaded, printed, and
Signed,
signed.
yeah.
These are not,
Sent, so that nobody.
And there's some things that happen that people don't want their name signed to it,
Correct.
and I can understand that, but if it's something petty, that's a.
Right, and, yeah, if it's something that's super criminal, then we would want that, but if it's something,
if it's criminal, wouldn't we turn it over to another agency to investigate? Like, if somebody
No,
came to me
so-
with a criminal complaint to you,
so
no
let-
offense,
right, so let's
I would
say,
go to the sheriff.
well, it's just gonna depend on where you're at, but if it was on me personally, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I
No,
know.
if it was on me, the head of the department, you would never,
The Attorney
ever
General,
invest it. You
the
would never
Attorney General
invest
is the chief law enforcement officer of this district,
right,
correct?
you would, he is. Well,
She is.
you've gotta realize, right now, your chief operating person is gonna be your sheriffs, and then the
Yeah.
person above them is
Yeah,
gonna
and
be,
but technically,
Technically, you are
under
correct.
Tennessee law,
You are correct,
the Attorney
technically.
General
Right,
is the chief law enforcement official of this
absolutely,
district.
absolutely.
Okay.
But you would be correct. If it was a complaint on me, let's say it was a normal, just an average complaint, the mayor would get it, and then if we had an oversight committee, and that was put into place, you guys would, okay, yeah, there's substance to this, let's ask them about it. But if it was criminal in nature, then if it happened in Marion County, you call up the Marion County Sheriff's Department, like, hey, goes in Grundy, you call up the Grundy County Sheriff's Department, hey, this is the complaint we have, and what's gonna happen is they're gonna turn around and they're going to do a preliminary investigation, and if there's substance to that, they're gonna send it straight to TDI. That's just what's gonna happen.
Well, it sounds like we've had some good conversation on the topic. Thank you for bringing the complaint form up. Sponsored a lot of conversation. Let's move on, particularly if we're gonna
Yes.
talk about this later under new
Okay.
business. So let's move on to the fire department. Travis, you ready? We're in a long talkative mood tonight.
Is it too early for a police and fireman joke?
Probably.
We don't have any more.
So the fire department ran 33 fire calls and 6 medical calls over the month. We've gotten the brush truck back. It was actually out in Chattanooga getting emergency lighting installed on it. Mike Holmes with Welland Corporation, Welland Light Bar, Welland Lights. The company donated around $13,000 worth of lights since there was a mess up on the grant and they had outfitted the wrong truck. So Welland, thank you for the donation on that. Wilson County Motors will actually be paying the $4,200 invoice for the installation from Trucker's Lighthouse, so that all worked out to cost us anything, so they made it right. We switched our station inventory system. We was using PS tracks that kind of kept up with our assets. Had expirations that come up for like air packs and hose and just different test dates and stuff that went through. We actually switched it to to an app called Command Establish. I don't know what he calls it. It's software, basically. Command Establish, the system's about $300 cheaper a year, and it was actually a Swanee firefighter that created it, so it's kind of local. Our IT's local, and it's a pretty neat system. That also shows our fire hydrants. It shows hydrant flows and locations. We can put all that stuff on there on the My Player, so that'll be kind of at each fireman's fingertips to be able to access that, so we're kind of looking forward to it. We received the 2025 State Fire Marshal's Office VFEED grant this year. We're going to use that grant's going to purchase battery-powered extrication equipment. The recent equipment was about 22 years old, so that's going to help us greatly, and that's actually about the last thing that we needed to upgrade for the whole department, so we made it.
You going cordless?
Yes. Yeah, we're going to the Amicus.
David's been talking about that
Yeah,
stuff.
we're going to the Amicus battery system, so we're excited about that. That should be April. We've already ordered it. The grant should come through in March, and then the delivery will be in April, so we'll hopefully do an open house and show that. Codes enforcement, I'm going to keep moving since we've had some time. AJ's worked on one commercial property, has been served for a property maintenance issue. There was one residential service for property maintenance issues, and he actually has one residential in the process of remediations and making progress on that. That was over on Forest Point, so they're trying to clean that one up. Any questions on fire and codes? Anybody? Okay, so the building inspections, we had one commercial building permit issued. We've done 3 residential permits issued for the month. I've done 8 inspections complete, and there's been 4 certs of occupancies issued throughout the town. The Mountain Inn case continues. I've actually met with the city attorney and got some information on that, and I had to get some different documents and forms that we didn't have that he's emailed to me that we're trying to get. I mean, we've never crossed this bridge, so I'm trying to get it all so it'll stand in court. So that's what's taking so long on that.
In our minutes here, it says the hearing must be held within 10 to 30 days, but above that, it says the owners will be served this week.
That's
So
right.
is that meaning this coming week?
No, sir.
Or that's an error because of you having to get additional documents?
So I got everything prepared for the service of it, and then I wanted to check with the city attorney just one last time on the preparation of everything. There was, kind of didn't stand compared to what our current codes and stuff was. Sam was trying to get some reports back to me, and it's actually going to include some TCA code that was referenced into that too. I'll try to get this packet prepared, and then if we want to have a workshop on it or something, I told Mary I'd like to have a workshop, sit down at the table, explain everything with the code and what the forms mean to us as a town, and then schedule a hearing. I want to make sure everything's right and our T's are crossed before we present.
Makes sense. Let's let him finish up. No, let's let Travis.
I'm through.
Okay.
I want to thank y'all for helping the older people that had the fire out there. The fire department did an excellent job. I really appreciate y'all helping them and coming out there. Thank you so much.
Yeah, those people touched our hearts, man.
Yeah.
That was a good loss for them, a terrible loss for them, but good for the outcome.
Thank you.
Other questions for Travis or AJ?
What's holding up the opening of the Dollar General? I thought it'd be open 3 weeks ago.
They'll have power tomorrow.
How about the fire truck?
They'll have power. The fire truck, well, what fire?
The Phantom fire
The
truck.
ladder truck is done, but I want, you're the first to know that. No, it really is. The ladder truck's done, they're waiting on ladder testing, and then I was gonna have a big welcome day back to Monteagle.
Have a party. Yeah. And did they stick to the $25,000 bid?
Or, well, I'm not talking about that.
Eventually, we'll have to talk about that.
Well, the budget hearing starts in March.
Are they paying you or are we gonna have to pay them?
We started charging them.
Okay. Just
Anyway.
Sounds like we need a raise.
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks.
Good. Thank you all.
Hey, next item on the agenda is Parks and Recreation, and that's Ty, really, right?
That's
Yeah.
Ty.
So let's move right on. Utility manager, you got anything? So we got this is a question, we got a report today from the water plant I hadn't seen before. Anybody know the difference between those 2 water readings that we got?
I was going to ask the same question. But I didn't understand what the raw water versus the high rate.
High capacity water, high rate water. Do you know what we're talking about? Okay, all right. Well, we'll have to ask some more questions.
Basically, we take has always been a line there for the raw water intake.
Yeah.
In number of gallons.
But they
I haven't
were,
seen the report, so I can't.
basically they were comparing and contrasting the raw water intake to a high service intake.
For each day.
For each day. And I think it probably has to do with filtration capacity and telling us how clogged up our filter is, but I just wasn't sure.
Raw water was
And it's not a report that we've seen before, those of you.
So we need to talk with Wade, we need to have, someone needs to have a conversation with Wade.
Yes, Waylon needs to tell us what that is, but that's no big deal. Street department is not here.
Question on that, of course, I guess it has to be deferred, but we had talked about the reflectors last month, and there was gonna be a plan, and
I don't have that, so.
okay. And here it is, almost March, and the fog season hopefully is on its way out, but I would hope that the council would adopt a plan in dealing with this in the coming year, and we would look at doing all city streets in some capacity, or at least justify the highest traveled and the curves and the hills, and have some criteria, and try to improve the safety quality of anyone traveling our city streets in the foggy conditions.
I think we need to do something. I would love to have a comparison between those reflectors and the glass impregnated paint, because I think we have a lot of streets that need paint. And I've been very impressed with some of the painting we've done recently in the streets in Swanee of how it shows up at night. It'd be interesting to compare and contrast not only the price, but how they last. Because one of the things,
stop talking about it and at least be ready for the next fog season.
yeah, so we need to have some numbers.
I will tell you, it was my suggestion to the mayor to get those things around the poles, and my neighbors have told me they are not helpful. They're too far off the road to be helpful.
Well, some of them are too high too.
And very high.
If you go out Clouds Hill or Summerfield Road, and if you'll turn right on Clouds Hill.
It's a straight road.
If you go out there during the daytime and look at them, there's some uniformity to them, and there's many of them.
Right.
And then if you'll go back out there at nighttime, even in the fog, it is very helpful out there.
It is.
But now, when I go home tonight, there's maybe 3 in about a mile and a half,
Right.
and it doesn't
It's not
do,
enough.
yeah. Whereas the paint would probably,
I think the paint's better.
would be sounds much better. I don't know if it would work any better.
Well, the thing I like about paint is if we have prolonged snow, we can push some of it out of the way. And that's one of the things that's driven me nuts about just being tied up. And I had gotten frustrated, and my neighbors know this, and I'll get my tractor out and I'll clean my road. But I've also knocked off a couple of those reflectors, and I tried to miss them, but they stick up that way, and I think paint would stand up much better. I don't know how the cost is. I know I've had some striping done recently, and I know what the cost of striping is, but I don't know how to compare it to the cost of the reflectors.
I think the paint should be on the edge of the road.
Yeah, there's
Not on the, just put it in one place.
You're gonna put it on both edges, aren't you?
Well, both edges, yeah, but I mean,
Either that or just be safe going one way.
I'd rather focus on one thing is trying to keep.
Well, now, some of our roads are probably not wide enough to put a white line on it, but if we have a good yellow line in the middle, that gives folks something to aim for.
That's true.
And where they're wide enough, a white line certainly helps. But, all right, Planning Commission, I don't see anyone here from the Planning Commission. Oh, Dan, sorry. I was looking in the other direction. You want to give us an update?
Well, we're gonna have a planning commission, I think, so.
Okay. Well,
Next week.
yeah, it's always the first Tuesday. And I will, just to let folks know, with this Imagine Monteagle and the downtown redevelopment zoning, I've been going back and forth with Jonathan and with the folks out of Atlanta, and I think we're gonna have a document for y'all to review. Looks like it'll be a document to review, and if you like it, then separately, you'll have to recommend, because at least the subcommittee recommended that we rein C1 zoning in a little bit and move some of the parcels on the periphery, particularly on the exit 135 into C2. So then you'll separately, the Planning Commission will have to request a look at rezoning a couple of parcels if we decide to move forward. So that's all I'll say about that. Beautification and tree board.
Grant, you're gonna do tree board.
No, I'd rather use the tree board.
I can talk about that if you want, Martha.
Okay.
I'll do the nominations, but I don't know enough about it.
Just a couple of things. We're looking at having an official Christmas tree for the town. We've had someone offer to donate a tree, but finding a location is difficult. I want to thank Scott Pilkington for moving the old Monteagle motel sign, and he's going to be storing it until we can get it fixed. The Tennessee 250 celebration, Melissa Mosley went to the meeting, and Johnny Westerfield, I don't know him, but he is doing the research to help us find 10 of our historic figures that we want to highlight for the Tennessee 250. And you want to?
Sure. So the update I have for the tree board is that we met. I think there's some subset that's going to meet here on Wednesday and look at where around City Hall they want to do some tree planting. So don't be surprised if there's some flags sticking up. I'm not going to be here, but I'm supposed to be getting them some flags. So I'll see if I can't get them some flags. We passed on first reading the tree ordinance. If we choose to pass it tonight on second reading, then it'll empower that tree board to be an official board of the town. We had discussed at the meeting having a list of board members. You have a list.
I have a list.
I reached out to Lucy and she said she didn't have one.
Yes.
But you have one.
I have well, she and I talked.
Okay, so it's premature for us to look at that now. But I think if we choose to do it in second reading and pass it, then do you have it written form that you could submit to us so that we could review it rather than?
And write it.
If that makes sense. And did you also talk about terms? I was going to suggest we do this next month, because one of the things I want for this board to have staggered terms, so that if there are feelings in the community that the board is moving in a direction that we don't want to go, there's always an opportunity for the council to appoint new people to the board. So I'm fine waiting until next month. I don't think there's a particular hurry, but if you pass this tonight, then next month we'll have a slate of candidates for that board with staggered terms. Okay. Imagine my legal, Grant?
Yes, just try to be brief and just bring everybody up to speed. We've got about 5 projects in the works right now that we are trying to flush out the work behind the projects, but also trying to find the funding for them. The first is the mural that's going on the side of the fire hall. We submitted a grant for that last month. We should find out here in the next few days, actually, about getting awarded that grant. And this is a mural that be worked on by Keith Killebrew based on some surveys that we did about what the community feels about Monteagle, what it means to them, and significant figures or events that have taken place in Monteagle that we want to represent on the mural. So that's in the works. Hopefully we find out in the next couple days. The second project. The second project is a kiosk kind of patio that we have been thinking about.
I'm on it.
This is basically an information. Should be a stone patio. It's kind of an information area that'll be located along the Mountain Goat Trail out here, hopefully in this little triangle in front of DeBose, in between 41 going to Tracy and Main Street here, and then also cut off by DeBose Avenue. I'm in talks with DeBose about what their purpose, what their use is going to be for that triangle, and where we can fit our little kiosk in. But basically, this is kind of a general rendering of it. It's just a stone patio. Seating would be just on the top wall around this circular patio. This is 25 feet in diameter. And then you'll see the plaques that we have out there. These informational plaques will either be built into the wall or put on pedestals inside the thing. Plaques will have trail maps, They will have information about what to do in Monteagle, historic places in Monteagle, what businesses to go to, where to eat. All of them will have a QR code that you could scan to find out where the next destination might be that you want to go visit in Monteagle or in Grundy County or Tracy City or close by. So this is just, again, this is a general rendering of what we're talking about. And we are applying for a grant with the Healthy Built Environment from the Tennessee Department of Health. We're going to be applying for the pre-application portion of that grant probably this week. It involved getting a rendering, giving a description, the need, how it fits into a healthy environment, and then letters of support from a number of different, not only community members, but community businesses, the mayor's office. We've gotten a letter from Senator Bowling, who's our state senator here representing this area, as well as the Mountain Goat Trail Alliance, which would benefit from this. And I'm working with DuBose to get their letter of support put into the application as well. So that's project number 2 going on. Second one is upgrades to the library, to the entrance to the community center and the library. These are 2 kind of, portico is the only word that comes to mind, but it's basically an extended entrance to community center, and then we would add one for the library entrance, which gives people a covered space to walk into. It lets us use the bricks that we did a couple of years ago that we've fundraised for with people's names on them. That would be part of the front entrance. Really what it would do is just kind of clean up the front entrance and also give people with disabilities, but also anybody else walking in, a little bit of cover as they're coming in. Second piece of that, which will happen later on, it's not on the list right now, but painting the library and making it look like a library. Nobody has any idea that there's a library sitting there because there's nothing out front that tells you it's a library. So we've got some ideas how to move forward, but that's kind of a little bit further down the line. Fourth project is Hannah Pickett Park here behind us. We want to do an upgrade to the pavilion. We are applying for the T-Mobile grant, and Paul McKee is going to help us with that from the STED, which is not a venereal disease. And they're going to help us with that. And I probably shouldn't have said that on camera, should I? Sorry about that, everybody.
Ruined your political career.
Yeah. If you want me to resign, file a complaint to the, there's a complaint form up here. This is upgrading the pavilion with paint. We're going to upgrade the bathrooms. We're going to put new lighting in there, Wi-Fi and security cameras. As part of the upgrade to the bathroom, what we hope to do is put in electronic locks so that we can unlock and lock it from City Hall, so that every morning they would be unlocked for people that are using the park. They would lock again at 5, 4 o'clock, whatever time in the afternoon, and then special occasions, special events, we can have them unlocked and open for an event in the park. But this upgrade, I think the deadline for that grant submission is the end of March. So we're putting that in. And then finally, we are doing, there's a project that, again, that's going to be in this little triangle over here, that Mountain Goat and DuBose zone. We are looking, we're commissioning a sculpture from a well-known sculptor around the country, actually. And the sculpture is probably going to incorporate a Welcome to Monteagle sign. And it would be right up in the corner over here, next door to Town Hall, and right by Main Street. That would be a Welcome to Monteagle sign with a piece of artwork, metal sculpture that would hopefully have some real appeal. That would be, as you pull off the exit, at least coming from 135 into town, you would see that sign. You would also then see the kiosk, this patio that we're talking about, would be kind of right behind it. So it'd be a stopping off point for anybody that wants to find out a little bit more about Monteagle, or the trails, the Mountain Goat Trail, etc. So that's the final piece. That's the 5th project that we're working on. I'm meeting with somebody next week from Lyndhurst to look at a grant from them for the artwork. And we have already privately funded the initial commissioning with the artist for her to do some research to find out what is meaningful in Monteagle and the surrounding area. And what will come out of that will be a rendering of her artwork and the concept behind it and all the needed, whatever would be needed from site work to have this artwork. And then from there, the Lyndhurst Foundation would pay, or hopefully, the grant would pay for the commissioning of this art and commissioning, delivery, and setting up of this artwork. It just gives us a little bit of character over here certainly on this side of town. I hope we can do something similar on the 134 exit after the state finishes with their work in a couple of years. That is all. That's all I have for Imagine Monteagle. And that doesn't, obviously, Nate, you can talk to the zoning if you want to, which is another portion of it.
Well, I think if you're interested in what's happening in zoning, that'll be at the next planning commission meeting. We'll be talking about that. So rather than belabor the point tonight, I encourage everyone to come out next Tuesday for an exciting night of conversation on downtown zoning. Doreen.
Grant, can I ask that you not put the community center on a back burner, because when you're coming into town, it really needs a refresh. Landscaping, painting, I don't know if it can be done in-house, but it just really needs to be spruced up.
So
nothing's happened to it in so long.
Right, no, and I totally agree. Having the front entrance is going to kickstart a lot of that, and I'm not putting it on the back burner. We did give money for the landscaping around that building. We just haven't designed it yet and haven't spent the money on it yet, but it's already allocated. The painting of the library is a little bit, it's a little bit of a bigger project. We wanted to break it down into pieces, so the porticos are the first step. And we can move forward as soon as we find the right grant that would go with painting, which may be another mural, actually. Talking to Karen, she's given me some ideas and showing me some pictures of some other libraries that have some really cool kid-friendly murals out front, and it lets it know it's a library. Not putting it on the back burner, but we're just trying to break this down into pieces, and let's get the front finished first, and then the painting part of it can happen second.
Everything's gonna look good around it with the memorial, the kiosk, all that, and then you've got that community center that just has been neglected.
And Dean and I are in a race right now to see who gets to finish their projects first, the Veterans Memorial or the library. And
I know a good rock mason.
I actually talked to that fella. So yeah, it's not on the back burner, but I hear you. It needs to be done.
Thank you.
All right, Alderman report. We'll start with you, Dean, on the end.
I guess I'll pick up where Grant left off there about the contest. I think as far as the veterans thing, I sent you
I'm working on it.
Okay, a drawing that Johnny Westerfield made available to me a couple of days ago, and he got the guy's name, and I thought he was going to be here tonight and talk about it. But it's just a concept, and they had talked about doing it in a couple of phases, and initially just get the area to the right elevations and do the flag poles, and then they put down and they've got a description of everything they're doing, and the points and the heights of the flag poles and everything has a meaning, and I did not retain that. It's something that will tie in, I think, with the whole walk here when we do it. And I've tried to engage veterans. I ask people that I don't know whether they've served or not, if they're a veteran, and let them know what's going on, and that we're excited to be able, that we approve the project subject to the drawings and the cost and how all that works. I think it's going to be something that our community will be proud of in honoring the men and women that have served our country. And hopefully we can keep it going forward. And for instance, on what he sent in, of course they're both the same thing, but the things I did retain was they're going to add 2 more flagpoles where we come in. And the one on the left, I think he said the guy said should be the Tennessee state flag, and then the one on the right immediately would be the POW MIA flag.
Outside the circle or part of the circle?
Inside, as part of the drawing there. I think if you count them, I think they're all inclusive now. I didn't count them, that was my takeaway from it.
Got 8.
Yeah.
So it should be enough.
Yeah. So I always get mixed up on, forget about Space Command and wonder who our first Space Command veteran will be.
George Jetson is his name.
Anyway, we're working on that, and we're like everybody else, trying to get it jump started, and we're going to have to get two things are going to have to be dealt with. First is changing the elevation out there, and then of course to some degree the concept on the design will play into that, but not really. I mean, it'll change it a little bit, but we know we've got to go in there and raise that up, and it's just a matter of going back there and getting cost estimates on that and decide with everybody that talks about a drawing says we need the area defined and the elevation, and so that would be the first thing I would think we need to act on, and it's going to work regardless of what the ultimate design is going to be, and so hopefully we can take some action on that in the next short round.
Martha, you had reached out to me about a survey for Hannah Pickett Park. Was that related to this?
Yes.
It just occurred to me that the subdivision of the parcel, the adjacent parcel for the Dollar General, is going to have a new definition of that boundary line. So we could probably look at that and get a really good idea of what our boundary is on that side.
And then Martha Ann has given me a handout here tonight, but you can tell us a little bit.
Yeah, I talked to a landscape architect in Atlanta that Dan Page recommended. And he said he could do a very simple drawing to give whoever is going to do the construction, that person is the one who's going to estimate how much it's going to take, how much soil or whatever, or what kind of retaining wall to hold it up or whatever. And that's where we would get the estimate of the cost.
Anything else on that? Then I'll move on. Next, I brought up several months about the school zone lights. They flash at all times. I'm talking about weekends, and it's like we didn't used to have that problem.
Right. So is the chief still out there? Because
Go ahead, sir.
It's very
flashing lights.
Yes.
Do you have access to the timer?
He'll eventually, when Keith Henley, he's supposed to bring me up and show me how to do it. He's been tied up. I spoke with Keith last Friday. Sometime this week, he's supposed to get down and show me how to work it.
So Keith Henley has the key?
Yeah, he's the one that operates it and everything. So.
He's the guy over the years that has always been a problem. He comes up and tweaks it and times it, I was told that, and that he was the go-to guy on the school lights.
But does he have the key?
He does. He has a key to open the box.
Okay. Do we not have another key?
To my knowledge, but I don't think you have to have a key because, I think one year we went down there and we messed with it and it kind of messed it up, and he had to come up and fix it. It was a couple of years ago. So I don't think there's a lock on. There is a lock, but it may or may not. But if there is a lock, he's got the key. But I spoke with him Friday again, and he said, I'll be up sometime this week. I'll give you step-by-step instructions on how to turn it on and off when school's out, and so that we can adjust that. And of course, it should be working now through the time. So we just don't turn it off for one day.
But it was on this weekend. I saw that too.
So now, grant you, we could turn it off for the weekend, but school's not in session, so
it should have a 7-day timer on it, though.
It should, yes, sir.
Well, I think the whole thing is it's become a joke about the lights.
Yes, yes.
And I think people lose confidence in the fact that, hey, it's a joke, don't pay attention to the light, or just subconsciously you don't pay as much attention to the lights.
That is probably more likely.
And then, is there a set, what is your policy about the officers working the school zone? Or do they have like a begin time and end time every day?
In the morning times, they get there at 7 a.m. They leave when it's probably about 7:55 when the school turns the sign around. And they go with the chain. So that's roughly about 8 o'clock in the afternoon. They get there either at 3:35 or 3:40. The bus don't even pull out until
2:35.
Actually the bus won't even pull out. Yeah, 2:55 in the afternoon. So that's when the bus pulls out.
Is there any reason that officer can't just turn them on and turn them off until we get this figured out? If it truly doesn't have a lock, I assumed it was locked.
Well, and like I said, once I talked to Mr. Henley, I don't have a problem with that, but yet I had to talk to him. He's not showing me how to work it.
Well, and then the problem is if they call school off, if the officer can kill it.
Turn it off,
Yeah,
correct.
And then if it's a 2-hour delay in school starting, I think those are important things to get in people's minds. And then one time you talked about the little portable radar thing that sets up and shows the speed.
Yes.
And one of them was a lot more expensive than the other. I don't remember.
You are correct. The one that actually is posted in the ground, those are much more expensive than the actual pull-arounds that you can pull around and you can set them up.
And I would like to ask you to get us some information. The council, since we're working on budgets, maybe at least a portable one, or you can do both or whatever. I don't see us really doing a permanent one.
Right.
With everything we've got to deal with, but I would like to see what the cost is, because I see it in other communities. And the first thing you see people doing, like at A-Road, when I go through there, it's a long way off, and you can tell by the brake lights that are coming on what's going on.
So you actually brought that up, and Greg knows about this, but this upcoming month, we have a budget hearing meeting, and actually I've got 2 quotes already for that. And they are, like I said, one's pretty pricey. I think we can get a grant maybe to help us out with that, but I think the expense that we would use would benefit us because we can move it around town. Obviously I couldn't put it on Laurel Lake because there's no place to put it, but in places where we can actually put it in longer distances and slow people down in trouble areas, that would be very beneficial.
I talked to a vendor a couple of years, when you and I were talking about this during the last budget year, I talked to a vendor who has a product that looks like a sign, and so it actually, you just set the pole, and so you can move it to 4 or 5 different parts of town, but rather than have to pull it with a trailer, it's just a single pole. The nice thing about it is it tracks all the data. So you can pull it down and download it and see that, 250 cars passed through here yesterday, and 30% of them were speeding.
Right.
And so it gives really good data for officers to be able to target their actions on. The university has been borrowing one from Franklin County. They may have one as well, because I know they've got 2 set up right now, and I know one of them's labeled Franklin County. I'm not sure about the second. I bet the university owns that one.
Another subject, the library and community center. We don't have anyone designated for regular maintenance on that structure. And I know I go over there, I try to go every couple of weeks and just drop in and visit and chat with them and see what's going on. And for the last couple of months, they've got light bulbs, as simple as light bulbs being out. And Karen can't put in a light bulb. And I think the city needs to have a designated person that they would deal with a written request for whatever their issues are. I think they've got a sink that's having plumbing problems, the handicap bathroom. In the senior side, it's the same old. They've got a toilet that's out of service. They've got everything from, they have questions about the cleaning schedule and who picks up what, and they said really after it's been used, and I didn't realize it was used that much anymore, but many times the people that used it did not leave it in the same condition as they found it. And I thought used to we charged a deposit or something, and if we don't do that now. Okay. But anyway, we need to try to come up with a better operational plan for the community center, as well as the exterior and all those other things. But it needs to be, again, it also needs to be inside something that we're proud for people to come and see. And here in just a month or two, when you go over there and you open the door and run into the kiosk, and when we stop and say, they've had a homeless problem over there, and the police department's been called, and one time during the bad weather. But anyway, usually you go in over there and there's, 50, I ain't counted them, but I'd say 50 to 100 dead flies in the first little place there. And as we talked about earlier, the whole thing should be something that we're proud of for people to come and see.
So we have we did some maintenance forms. My question was, we have regular cleaning of City Hall. Does that regular person who's cleaning City Hall also do the community center on the same return interval? Or?
Well, and the worst part, and I would encourage some of y'all to go there and look, is in I call it the pen outside, where the garbage goes. If you go over there and look, it has not been maintained in months. Now there's no garbage. The cans were empty the other day, but there was garbage that was in the ground that had been there, I would say, for several months. And there's a flag, and if it was an American flag, I would have picked it up, but it was just in the dirt there. And I don't know, it had dirt all over it. It was probably a Confederate flag or a state flag, I don't know, but it was not a U.S. flag. But it is horrible, the condition that's in. And I would think that when I guess for lack of a better term, for whoever empties the garbage cans out here in the park and stuff, would be the ones that normally would haul that garbage off. Do we know? Okay, like a vendor? Yeah. Well, I think if you'll go over and look, you will be shocked at the condition that's in. And when warm weather gets here and stuff, I know there's going to be fly problems, and I know there's probably rodent problems now. And it's pathetic. And
who does our trash out here in the park? Could they not go clean that issue up and at least deal with that the next time they do the trash?
Well, and another issue we need to talk about is the park itself. If you go over there and walk around and look now, there needs to be some attention in getting the winter leaves up that are up against the wood walkway things there. It needs attention, and I know it's been winter time, but it's soon to be springtime. And if you'll just walk over there and walk through, and I didn't go to the pavilion, so I have no idea, other than the last time, I think we need to have the guttering checked and stuff. I have been by there during rainy days, and the gutters on the next to the street were overflowing and just flowing out on the ground. So I don't know if the downspouts are stopped up, but again, that's a maintenance thing.
We have a workshop in the morning at 8:30 to give out the forms to check all the buildings,
Okay.
so that.
Was Grant's birthday?
Happy birthday, Grant. Yay, happy birthday.
You're the one that told me.
I didn't tell you we were.
Well, you didn't tell me not to tell you. But anyway, so at 8:30?
Yeah, 8:30.
Okay.
I thought we moved all those to.
I'll get you a copy.
So,
Don't tell me, and I'll get you a copy.
Oh, an employee workshop, so we don't need, it's not for,
It's an employee workshop that hand out the forms, so
Oh.
that somebody.
Okay. The next thing I have is MTAS. I think we need to at least have some contact with them in the risk management. They're our insurers, right? Not still TNL. Yeah. So I would like to have some discussion with them, and I guess it could be a Zoom or whatever, about our risk management of what our policies are. Usually every year in the business world, I would get inspections on my buildings, and they would cite deficiencies, whether it be, yeah. And then there's also, now the big push in private is trying to prevent lawsuits from things. In our case, it would be like Rodney Kilgore or Scott Pilkington or whoever. Of certain things you need for documentation and how you handle that, and it's costing us money every time, even though they say, oh, don't worry about it, we got insurance. Well, we do, but we got a $5,000 deductible, and then if you're paying out all this money, they're going to raise the rates in order to do that. And I think we need to be consciously aware that we have certain responsibilities to ensure that we don't end up in federal court or state court or a lawsuit from an employee or whatever the case is. And so I think in the coming months, if we could get some kind of information, I'm sure they've got someone that would come and talk to us about that. And I think it would be beneficial to the city to do that. And then I had talked to Debbie about the MTAS survey of communities showing their spending, and I hope to get that soon. And it was kind of show what other towns, well, any.
I don't think they've done it unless they started it back. They quit doing that report in 18 or 19. So they have specific payroll reports, but that big report that MTAS used to do, they quit doing it. I have the last one. I'm happy to share it with you. That was done, but my understanding is they gave it up.
But they do, so how do we, there's nothing available for us then to compare to?
No, individuals. So if you have an individual question about per capita spending on police or fire, that sort of thing, you can ask them. But that big booklet that used to be so handy, they don't make it anymore. Okay.
And we talked about the flags. Oh, I think that next month, I'd like the council to think about the pros and cons, but I would like to have us vote on implementing a freeze on spending on vehicles. I think sometimes toward the end of the budget year, we want to run out and spend money because there's money left in there, and it seems to me like, and I've asked before, and I'll ask. I think we need a list of all of our vehicles, what department they're assigned to, the condition of them, the year, make, model, the mileage, and I think if we would just not buy any more vehicles until we assess how many we've got, how many is needed, and what the rotation on them is. I think we probably have the best fleet of vehicles of any community around here. And to me, some of that money might be able to be spent on the community center or the library or some other things, and we could skip a year or make two people ride in one vehicle. And so at least I'd like for us to discuss that at the March meeting, and I'm inclined to say that we would vote on or I would make a motion to that effect. That's all I'll talk about tonight on that.
Okay. Grant?
I just only have one thing. I saw something about a meeting tomorrow to go over what we accomplished with the CDBG grant. Is that? That's what? Wednesday. On Wednesday? Is that what happened what we've spent the money on in the past year, or is this about the new one?
Southeast Tennessee Development District's coming.
Oh, they're coming?
How did you hear about it? I didn't hear anything about it.
It was in the paper.
It's been
It's in the messenger here.
a mayor's memo.
So I'm trying to figure out if I can get out of it, honestly. I don't know what it's about. If it's talking about next year's grant, then I'm in. But if it's talking about what happened last year, then
last year
I could. No offense, I don't care.
Well, if the messenger knows what they're talking about, it's to close out the fire department grant. Is what it says here.
And why do we, I guess I'm asking, why do the council members need to be here for that?
I don't know what to do.
I don't mean to be asking you, but I mean.
Did he invite you?
I don't know. I saw it and it was like, okay, I'm supposed to be here for this meeting and I couldn't understand why.
That's how it's listed.
Yeah, I think that's
It's a
what it
public
says.
Yeah, it's listed as a public meeting, right, which we normally are here for, but.
And it says the town of Monteagle will have a public hearing at 9 a.m. Wednesday, February 25th, 2026 at Monteagle Town Hall located at 16 Dixie Lee Avenue, Monteagle. The purpose of the hearing is to present and discuss the accomplishments of the 2023 Monteagle CDBG fire equipment project. And it goes on.
All right, so I'd
it's
like
probably
to,
just a requirement to close it out.
okay, I would like to ask if I need to be at that meeting, will somebody please tell me later on between now and Wednesday morning?
Yeah, I'll call you tomorrow.
And if I need to be at that meeting, I nominate Grant to go in my stead.
Yeah, I refuse.
It's 2 complaints.
That's all I've got.
Dan?
Well, I just wanted to make a comment about some of the production that's going on in town and the new Monteagle market that's just about completed. And still a little bit of scuttle there that we're seeing on the radar, but I think it's pretty much in hand and everything's taking place. And the Dollar General's coming along good. It looks good. I'd like to see a Tractor Supply go in right beside it, but we'll have to wait for that. But I'd just like to see the progress, and I know that there's others that are trying to get underway and get some things accomplished and done with. And so I encourage them to be able to continue to do that and trust that we can be of some help with them as they do. And other developments that we're got a hotel coming in behind the Hardee's real soon. It's all free to go, and they're going to start moving dirt and doing what they need to do. So I'm happy to see the progress. I know that the Church of Christ in down by the flea market is going to be a thing of the past. So if you want to get a picture of that building, go ahead and get a picture of it because it won't be here too much longer. And so as development continues, we watch the old Monteagle leave. And having been here for 70 years, or 60, at least 62 years, it's been a real great place, and I think it's going to continue to be at a different level. So I'm just happy to be a part of the program, and I'm a very small part in a big wheel. And that's my comment.
Cool, thank you.
I have a question. What is going on with CVS and the signs that say save our store? Are we in risk of losing our CVS?
I have no information on that.
CVS, there's some kind of federal food drug administration or something. Anyways, on the news, according to the news, if you believe the news, I don't know if it's fake news, but there was some legislation. They were encouraging people. CVS, they said, would have to close like 300 stores. I understood it to be their supply chain from Big Pharma where they get their medications, that there was going to be some issues. But it was on the national news. I saw it about a week ago, I guess. And they said they were, if it passes, that CVS will close over 300 stores. And then I was in CVS today and I saw all their signs up there. And actually the other day I was in there previously and I mentioned it to the pharmacist. I was picking up a prescription and asked him how long he was going to be there. And he said, if that legislation passes, I'm not going to be here. This store will not be here. So that's as far as I know.
I think the city council should officially make a resolution and send a letter wherever that they can't close their store. We've got to have a drugstore in our town.
I don't have enough information to act on that. I mean, I'd be interested in some more information. I agree with you that it's an important part of the town, but I don't have any information.
We could research it and then next month,
yes,
whoever the legislative body, I assumed it was federal legislation. I can't imagine that the state.
It's state legislation.
Oh, okay.
And I have, unfortunately, the number of the legislation is in my car. But I think everybody should read, especially the city council, should read what that piece of legislation says because it would be very detrimental to this town, this area, if CVS was to close. And while it has to do with, because I talked to CVS today also, and there would be different thoughts, I guess, process about how you feel about, the CVS does have their own chain of how they deal with insurance companies and things, and the state of Tennessee would have to change that. So, but I think they have to take a look at small communities like this, and since we have so many people around here, that it is very detrimental that CVS stays, because it won't be any better for any other pharmacy or drugstore to come in here. It won't be any different, so we'll have to go somewhere. Right, exactly.
Well, I did see something that it has something to do with how CVS is structured. Like, it doesn't affect Walgreens, which seems really strange to me, but I'm going to be...
Walgreens has had their own problems.
Okay, well, I'm going to be in Nashville on Wednesday, and I'm going to be meeting with Representative Bricken and Janice, so I'll ask them on Wednesday.
I'll send you.
And yeah, if I can have some information ahead of time, I can ask smarter questions. So, yeah. The other thing the only alderman report that I have is I wanted to ask, we have all on the council received a lot of emails from Mr. O'Neill, who's in the back, about his issue with the subdivision, and I feel like we should discuss it. Before we discuss it, I would love to, this is a long meeting and we still haven't talked about new business, so I think we've got some time. But I'd like to briefly, in hopefully 5 minutes or less, just get where people are on this. I've talked to Mr. O'Neill. I'm not sure that we have any sort of jurisdiction right now at this point, but I feel like he's asked for us to talk about it, and we ought to talk about it. This is related to a property issue, and I think the question comes up with, when does the Planning Commission have the authority to begin to talk to private property owners about what they are doing on their property? And this is related to a road, and as I've told Mr. O'Neill, I'm not sure that that we really have any authority, that there might be a time where this person, who is his neighbor, might want to build a house, and we have authority with issuing building permits to then begin to talk to that person. But I'd be interested to hear how the rest of council feels.
Well, it appears to me that it was because of an illegal subdivision that filed.
That is what has been alleged. I don't have the information to...
Well, I've seen a copy of one that was filed in 1984 or 5 or 6 or something.
I have seen that too, but not having, and Jeff, I'll let you speak here in a minute, but I want to get their impressions first. I would need, in order to think about it from that perspective, I would need to know when our planning commission was formed, when all that information came to bear, and I don't have any of that information.
And if we were here and it was done without the consent and coming before the planning commission, then it would be an illegal subdivision, right? And then what would we do about that? Just now finding out about it 40 years later.
There is thing called a statute of limitations.
Yeah. And it may turn out to be, like the hate fence. We got it, and we got to live with it.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, Jeff, I sympathize with you, and you and I have talked about this and all, and I'm sorry if you feel like you've been ignored with all your emails this last month, I guess. I don't know where we have any action to be taken. I really don't. I think the Planning Commission, if anybody has, they would have an action, but again, I don't know when this thing was filed. I don't know what the repercussions are for something filed 40 years ago and how you get that fixed. I honestly don't know. So I've been quiet because I'm not sure what we can do as a council up here as opposed to the Planning Commission. And I know you've addressed both of us and haven't gotten any kind of reaction, and I'm sorry about that, but I'm at a loss. Somebody needs to give me guidance on what if we can do anything and what that would be.
Dan, do you have any thoughts?
Well, my counsel is that it was under litigation. It was two parties in court over it. And, typically when there's an issue, that's in the courts and it's being dealt with by the parties involved. The city's not gonna respond, or really, technically we shouldn't even talk about it because it's in the court. That's what the mayor said last month. And the fact of the matter is, we're waiting and we're going to discuss something tonight that's been in the courts and it's been resolved. And we will now have the ability and the desire to act on it, knowing what we know. So that's where I'm at, why I haven't responded.
So, you want to speak briefly?
Yeah,
Can you keep
it's
it a
not
3-minute
been
rule?
resolved yet. They done a continuance on the case and everything. What actually doesn't happen is, like Dean said, there's an illegal subdivision that got filed in 1985. Monteagle has duties that they need to actually up and do, as according to TCA codes and all that, because it is an illegal subdivision, based off of what we're seeing, that they need to actually up and just say notice of saying if there's a road being built, which there is a road being built, they want to actually use my private driveway to actually up and go into a subdivision. And the subdivision, if you look at your Monteagle zoning laws and everything, it says basically that a private drive cannot actually be used. It has to be, go from inside the subdivision to a city street. So they're taking my property without due process because,
That's the part that's in litigation, and we don't have anything to do with it.
I agree, but you still have duties to actually follow as your zoning. And all I'm asking is a simple letter sent to them saying that you would follow within Monteagle zoning, and if any roads or anything is supposed to be done or any updates to the plat has to come through the planning commission. That's all I ask.
So,
And I'm not sure that the planning commission has the authority. We're not a judiciary body. We are a planning commission.
You're right.
And we look at the things that we're allowed to look at by our state planner and allowed to act on.
Because it is a plat and there's no roads going to those lots inside that subdivision. According to your TCA codes and all, y'all are the jurisdiction over the subdivision. So therefore, it has to come in front of the planning committee before any changes, including roads or anything, takes place. So all I'm asking is a simple notice that and let them know they're inside it, they subdivision, and it needs to actually come in front of the planning committee before you do anything. Y'all are not a judge, y'all are not doing anything, you're just giving physical notice that it is a subdivision and it needs to come in front of the planning committee before something is done, whether it's a sale, that they sold it here, the Taylor sold a piece of the property back, probably 6 or 8 months ago. That was a legal sale because it was a legal subdivision. There's no roads on lot 8. And it's going to continue and it's going to multiply and it's going to get worse if y'all don't act upon it and at least give them notice that, if anything is going to be sold, done, or whatever, it needs to come in front.
Have you asked to be on the planning commission agenda?
I have. I was in here.
I
was in here the last planning committee and they didn't want to talk to me about it.
Were you on the agenda?
I asked to be on the agenda.
And this kind of got brought to a head because they sold a piece of property and now somebody's trying to build a road. I mean, is there any construction going on out there?
In 2014, Goodwine actually bought a piece of property from George Elder. Okay, they actually built a road at that point going from the corner of my driveway over, and they're wanting to come down my personal driveway, which is a private drive.
They had built a road?
Yes.
So the Monteagle zoning ordinance will prohibit any building permit to be issued to a landlocked parcel.
I understand
So,
that, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
But they also actually prohibit any roads inside a subdivision unless it's brought into the planning committee and actually looked at, because there's a plat that needs to be updated because there's no roads inside that plat.
So, my read on this, and I wanted you to have the opportunity to talk, but I do want to make sure that we keep moving on. That you are right, and at the point at which the town of Monteagle is going to have jurisdiction is when that person goes and applies for a building permit, and when we find that that parcel is landlocked, then they're going to have to go through the process to make that road legal.
I'll agree.
If they can.
But can I ask you one quick question?
Yep.
Some clarification. If they have actually already developed a road across that lot,
But they have no legal right to it.
exactly, and all I'm asking is you to give them notice before they actually try to open it up, develop it, or do anything.
I think
And
your attorney, by filing suit, has let them know that they have no legal right to it, because you're currently in
I'm
litigation
currently
on
in
that
litigation, that
road.
all hasn't come out of, the
Yeah.
case yet, that's.
So I don't think we, as a body, want to get involved in that road until the courts have had their say done with it. Now, if somebody were to apply for a building permit,
I'm not asking you to do anything except actually say that it's a subdivision, and he's already said it's an illegal subdivision.
well, I just said to the community and on Facebook TV that you cannot have a building permit unless you have deeded road access to that lot.
Correct.
And so, if they are listening, have I done what you've asked me to do?
If you're actually
Because-
saying it's a notice, yes.
Because if we send them a letter as an individual, then we've singled them out without any clear jurisdiction. I mean, I guess.
I'm not saying single anybody out. I said send it to the, Kaiser subdivision people. I'm not saying single any person out.
I think
Anybody within that subdivision.
we just put the entire town of Monteagle on notice that you will not receive a building permit on a landlocked parcel in the town of Monteagle. And that's a violation of state law.
Well, you should get one. That doesn't
Right.
mean, based on past, but I think one of the main things is, we were subpoenaed to be witnesses in this litigation, weren't we?
You are.
And I don't know what, I assume your attorney did that?
Yes.
Okay. And I would further assume that they want us to state what we've stated tonight
It
under
will.
oath in the court proceeding.
My subpoena had nothing to do with this question, otherwise I wouldn't have brought it up. So that's not what I've been asked to talk about.
I still don't know what my subpoena's for.
Basically, it's about your Monteagle zoning.
Exactly, I mean,
That's it, Monteagle zoning.
you're wasting your time on me as a witness.
So, we don't need to move on, but I did want to address it at least a little bit. All right, so that's the Alderman report. Now, on to old business, second reading of ordinance 20-25, tree and landscape ordinance. Do I have a motion to approve on second reading?
I'll make a motion, we approve on second reading ordinance 2025, tree and landscape.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded, is any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. That was fast. All right, new business. First reading of ordinance 1-26, additional exceptions to zoning. And let me see if I can bring it up so folks can see it. Uh-oh. Dean, did you put some bug on my computer? It won't close.
Yeah, I did. I put that. I paid $2 for that.
Oh, want to save changes? No, I don't want to save changes.
Hey, I was gonna say, 25,000.
No, I don't want to save any changes to that either.
I can tell you, I was the one that was pushing this to get put back down to the planning commission, and they sent it back. They made some revisions. I talked to Jonathan about this. It was item number 4, if you do pull it up down at the bottom, that they changed the language so that it's additions and renovations to buildings where total gross floor area, blah, 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 blah. And in the final sentence, any new development requires site plan approval by the planning commission. We were taking out the fact that if it was less than 1,000 square feet, they could do it with a sketch plan. Any new development will require a site plan, full site plan, and any additions or renovations below 1,000 square feet, which could be done with a sketch plan of some sort. So he corrected the issues, I think, that the whole council had, and me particularly. And it passed the planning commission at the last meeting.
I like the language.
So I'll make a motion that we accept on the first reading the ordinance 01-26, additional exceptions to zoning that has been mentioned.
I'll second.
Motion on the floor and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, first reading of ordinance 2-26, zoning change. This is a request by the Honorable Mr. Lay, that's you, right? To rezone some parcels from R2 to R3.
Yeah, well, yes, and part of that, there's 3 parcels, but one of them, the zone came through a portion of the property. And the front, what I call the long property, it did not. But yes, in essence, ask it to be changed to the R3, which is adjacent to it. And the planning commission looked at it, reviewed it, and the planner said it did not violate city ordinances. And then I think the planning commission recommended that the council approve that. It was my recollection.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the rezoning?
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance 02-26, the rezoning change.
Motion's on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion on the motion?
Yeah, I need to publicly state that it could be a conflict of interest for me.
You brought this up the other day that you need to publicly state it. I think I went back and read the law. The way the law states, if it could be a public interest, then you are obliged to recuse yourself. I don't think it's going to be an issue in this vote, but according to the Code of Ethics, I think you probably should
all go with that?
Well, we tried to.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Abstain.
Yeah, and so Dean is abstained, and it passed 3-0. Thanks, Dean.
Thank you.
All right, the next, under the item of new business, item C, the franchise agreement for Ben Lomond. We pushed this off last time because we wanted to see if we could shop around and get a better rate. This is the amount that the town receives for every TV connection within the town. What we learned from the mayor is that this is prescribed, the rate is prescribed by a federal law. So this is updating our contract with Ben Lomond. It's long, so we could stay here probably another hour or two and go through every line of it, but
I don't remember, I was looking at this today, I didn't remember seeing Ben Loman's name on it. Are they called something else?
I think their DBA is Volunteer Wireless. DBA is Ben Lomond TV.
Early on, they named themselves as a certain, and we will be referred to as such.
Okay.
So do we have a motion to approve the franchise agreement with Ben Lomond?
We're extending this.
We are. Yeah, let's look at the term. How many years?
10-year contract. We're going to be extending.
Well,
And they're exempt from the planning commission, aren't they, on the regulation?
It's FCA. CC.
Yes, 10 years, it'll be 10 years.
Okay, 10 years. All right, do I have a motion on the floor?
Extending the franchise.
I'll make a motion that we approve the extension.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, now, item D, Police Department. Dean, I think you asked this to go on the agenda?
Yes, it was, we talked a little bit about some of the issues I had with the police department, and then in particular, I wanted us to discuss the Rodney Kilgore's situation there. It had been resolved in 2 parts. At Grundy County Sessions Court, Trey Anderson hearing it, I think the judge in Marion County had recused himself, or didn't hear it, and then Judge Anderson heard part of it, and then sent 2 parts back to Marion County, and according to everything I've gotten and heard, is that was, as Mr. Kilgore said, was no bill, which I'm assuming the state has no interest in prosecuting that incident. Is that your, okay. And I think that there was a lot of discussion about the conduct of the police department in that incident, and I think we need to talk about how you want to, or if you want to discuss that, and that the officer may have acted unprofessionally, and perhaps others as well, I personally feel like it needs to be dealt with. I'm not sure about the manner of how you want to deal with it, if you agree of how you would want to go about that.
Well, I think, is the chief still here?
Yeah.
I think that the chief should be present for this conversation. You're here. I know that I have heard a lot of these things, but I have no corroboration for any of these things. So at least for me, I don't have any firsthand, getting back to written information, I don't have any written information upon which to base any sort of decision on. That's just my feeling.
Well, I'm not asking us to do that tonight.
Yeah, okay.
So I was just going to say, before we start this, if we're going to have a conversation with everybody, I just want to make sure everybody treats everybody with respect, let that person talk. And then when they're finished talking, then you'll have your time to talk in front. That way we don't have any disruptions, there's no interrupting people, and it stays respectful.
I'll make sure that,
Well, yeah,
that happens.
I think it's your responsibility.
I will make sure that happens. Yeah, I'll make sure that happens. But I appreciate the service.
At the outset, the occurrence in September that took place with the police officer that arrested Rodney, as everyone knows, it was broadcast inappropriately, I feel, for both sides. But the reality is that the city council's stance on this would be to wait for the judicial instruction as it came down through the system, and it has come down through the system, and the officer was at fault.
Do you have any written
I have
documentation of
affidavits
that?
from the count, from the,
So I haven't seen
the
any of that.
transcript is all right here if you want to read it. He was at fault, the judge found him at fault, and he even challenged the judge a couple of times because it wasn't the way he understood it, or wasn't the way he interpreted the law. And I've not been before a judge, but I know enough to not challenge the judge when he's got the law sitting in front of him. And I have been on a jury and got instructions from the law, and I understand all of that. So I think there should be some corrective action taken. I know that the plaintiff would like to see this officer leave the city of Monteagle's police department, and that's not any new news. I mean, I'm sure that the community feels that way too, and there's a certain number of community that feels that way, and I think that the body here can in time make that decision. If the chief of police doesn't make that decision for his department himself, that could be made by the town and the alderman, having the information we have from the district attorney, from the court stated affidavits. We want to act on it, and I think we're obligated to the citizens of Monteagle to act on it. And it's not a pretty thing. I'm not going to gloss it over. I hate it. Okay, I hate it. I'm sorry we have to deal with this, but the fact of the matter is, whether you're at a kindergarten class or whether you're a policeman with a badge on, you still go by the rules. And I was taught to respect the police. If you stop me as a policeman, you're going to find both my hands on the steering wheel, and it's going to be yes sir, no sir. I've received one speeding ticket at the age of 66, and I'm 72. That's the only ticket I've ever had in my life. Should I have had more? Probably. But the fact of the matter is, I know the law and I will abide by the law, and an officer must do the same.
So,
real fast, Nate, I would ask that, again, I haven't seen the affidavit, I haven't seen the court stuff, and I would ask, I was just asking Dean, if whatever information you guys have, if you could pass it over to Debbie and have her send it out to all of the rest of us, I'll be more than happy to read through this, and then from that point, we can have a talk with Chief or find out what his decision is or what his take on it is, and we can have a discussion about if we need to get involved or something. But as I said earlier, I have none of this information in front of me. All I have is a, I don't even remember if I saw I never do Facebook, the video that was posted. I don't know. I don't even know if I've really seen the video that everybody's been talking about from all of this, and I certainly don't have any of the documentation. So
I haven't seen anything.
I've never seen the video. I've never seen any documentation.
From the course is all I have.
That's me to get a little more information. So I understand what you're saying, Mr. Sergeant, but you guys are getting wrong information. I'll present the case again, April, at Marion County for grand jury. So the paper you got is because the subpoena wasn't served and I missed that case. So that case is ongoing. So you're getting partial information and taking it to the bank, and it's going to look pretty bad. You know, you got me called, you want to come up here, you want me to come here so I can just get slandered all over Facebook. But the video is public information. Anybody can do that. Anybody can at any time.
Carter, I appreciate your sentiment. I'm going to ask, though, that you step aside and let the chief speak on your behalf, because he's your commanding officer, and he's the one that has direct report to us. I understand that you are emotionally involved in this, but Raylon, would you take over and help us understand the situation?
Please, Rodney.
Because I don't
ask you to leave.
And I'm doing this because I do think chain of command is important, and I think that one of the ways that we're going to get information, so we need to be, the chief is accountable to us, the way our current policy, human resources policy is stated. So we have the right to ask the chief to provide us with some information and documentation on the conduct of his employees. And while I understand that Sergeant Carter really wants to talk, I think it's more appropriate that we speak with you.
What I will tell you is it's still an ongoing investigation. Okay, like you said, there are items that will be presented to the grand jury. Not going to go into much detail on that, but I agree with what you guys are saying. There should be some accountability, but at the end of the day, like I stated before, we got to have the information, and I know several people have spoken to you, and we've got several people in here that aren't happy. I get it. I understand. I get your point. I do. And I can tell you, I had to make hard decisions while I'm here. I've had to let close friends go, people that I grew to, I trusted here at the Monteagle Police Department, that worked here. I had to let them go. I did that because I had factual information, cause and effect. It wasn't he said, she said. I made those decisions, and I will make decisions on facts. But right now, it's still an ongoing investigation.
So I think a question I have for the council is whether it's appropriate for us to act until, to ask for, I can't ask you for your determination of facts based on the conversation if it is actually ongoing. Where do we get the information?
Well, hang on, because I can respect still under investigation. I totally understand that. But there are things that have already been cleared out. There are things that are already public record that I haven't seen yet that obviously Dean and Dan have seen. So I think as any information comes out that is public record that is already somewhat closed out or moved to the next step or something like that, that information should be given to us at that time, so we have a continual feed starting with the stuff that they've already got, a continual feed of stuff that's already been released. That does not interfere with the investigation, but that keeps us in the loop so that when a community member comes up and hounds us about how come you haven't fired so-and-so, I can say, well, hang on a minute, here's something you may not know, or here's the facts that I know to this point. So I'm not interfering with the investigation, but there's material out there right now that we can have in our hands. And there'll be material in a couple of weeks that may be in our hands, even though the investigation hasn't been completed yet.
Yeah. And I agree, just one more thing, and I agree with what you just said. I do believe that since this was put on the agenda last week, I don't know what day it was, I really think everyone should have already had this information. So every person on this board should have.
So, Rodney, let's us have our conversation, and then I'll give you the
I just wanna
opportunity
say
to
one
speak.
thing.
Let us finish our conversation, and then I will give you the opportunity to speak. Thanks. So I would like for you to provide us with this information. I think there apparently is some other information we should also be provided with that you guys have apparently seen. I think in the end, if this is a personnel matter, we're going to have some finality to it. But getting information up to speed, I've heard a lot about this video, but I've never seen this video. And in the video in and of itself, again, is not written documentation of where the district attorney landed, about where the officers, what details were about the officer's conduct. I feel like I need to see that in order to move forward.
The video doesn't have anything to do with the judge's findings.
Right, I guess, I could have found the video, and I'm less interested in the video because I think
It doesn't serve the purpose of what we're doing here.
Right.
The video is just, it'll give you an opinion about something one way or the other, and it's not very helpful in terms of knowing what was right and wrong, and if Ms. Kilgore was mistreated, or if the officer was in his right. It doesn't tell you any of that.
And I told Rodney this several months ago. I have not gone out and found this video because I think video tends to have the ability to bias in things in one way or the other, and I would rather focus on information.
I agree.
Dean?
Chief, you said it was information you felt like we should have already had. Is that information, what do you make of?
Well, what you have right there, I mean, obviously you have it, and you have it, or you know about it, so I don't know.
You don't have it? You don't have a copy of the transcript?
I do not have a copy of that, no, sir.
Well, personally, I feel like as a chief, and if you feel like there's been, and the mayor has talked to you about this, he said that it would be your responsibility and obligation, really, for you to get a copy of it and read it and see what it says.
If I felt there was wrongdoing, yes, you're correct.
Well,
Opinions
if you've already formed your opinion, then this isn't going to work.
Well, it will work when all the information comes out.
Well, I think as far as, it's going for the Marion County Grand Jury?
It is.
Okay. I would agree with you that we need to wait until the Marion County Grand Jury convenes and hears this case, and when do they meet? Do we know when that is?
It's going to be in April.
April?
Yes, sir.
But yeah, I think it would be premature for us to dispose of the case in one sense, but then on the other hand, if what Grundy County Court ruled on, and we all look and read this, and then when there's supposedly going to be litigation in federal court, and I know that's supposedly right.
Not federal court, it's county.
Well, no, I'm not talking about the grand jury thing.
Oh, yeah, I got you, yes.
Civil litigation.
Yes.
That, it's my understanding, Mr. Kilgore, you have retained an attorney in Chattanooga certified in the federal court system?
I have, and the mayor already knows about it, and I'd like to speak here just a second.
Well, let us finish up, and I think you can have closing remarks if nobody objects.
No,
but I agree that on this grand jury thing, it's very important, but that's on 2 counts, I think. That was on destruction of property.
Yes.
And resisting arrest.
Correct.
Maybe. And the cases in here was kidnapping or false imprisonment or something.
False imprisonment, correct.
And then there was something else, wasn't there?
No.
Was that the only one?
That was it.
So again, just to, I would request that, Dean, whatever you have, you get to Debbie, and Dan, whatever
the
you
chief
have.
ought to do that.
Well, and then this third part of this is, Chief, anything that you have that it doesn't violate, is still under investigation, that needs to come into us and let us start getting these documents and so we can keep pace with this.
I would also request a timeline. That is a timeline of the history of when all this occurred. So this is a summary document that I would like you to put together, but also an anticipated timeline of when there might be some resolution, so that I can have sort of the big picture in my head, because there's a lot here.
There is.
So if
we
you...
We represent the city of Monteagle and the people.
Yes, sir.
So we have an obligation, and it's not an easy obligation by any means. I highly respect our police force, every policeman. They're not perfect people. None of us are, and I respect that, and but I think that, when we make mistakes, if we're caught brought to a place that a judge says we made mistakes, then we need to recognize that and not just continue to act as if we're a law unto ourselves. None of us are. And so the fact is, we do want to resolve this problem, and we will. And so we'll do as Grant requested, and we'll get this information to everybody. I'm sort of leaning like Dean. The continuing of it is another issue. What is the original result of what took place in the arrest, I think, has been settled.
There was 3 parts of it, of the arrest. That's one part of the arrest. That's why, you see where I'm coming from? So one part of it was concluded, the other 2 parts aren't. If all of them had been concluded at that time, this would be a totally different story. So at the end of the day, as soon as we get the findings, then, Go ahead, I'll let you stand up here.
Let me say this. So Rodney goes in front of Trey Anderson. Trey Anderson did not find him guilty on false imprisonment or retaliation. We go to the Marion County Courts on February the 13th because he was still charged. You don't have the charges on him for vandalism and
resisting arrest.
We go down there and there's no bill. That's what he got. February 13th.
I had the lawyers there. The judge says no bill, no evidence. Your officer lied on the stand out in Grundy County. Everything he said, he lied about. And y'all still got him working today.
So we don't have any documentation of that.
Okay. I'm feared for my life with him because he's a hothead. Okay? And reason I got arrested, I called the law. I mean, y'all talking about you want these people here to call the law and let the law come in Hepkins. I got arrested because the guy was arguing with me and I didn't want no problem in front of no people there, and he arrested me. So we got a problem here, and everything he said on the witness stand was a lie. The DA was laughing. It was a joke. So he should have been on some kind of relief, put off for work for a while. This is resolved.
So
we're down to damages now.
So all of this may very well be the case, but I have no information to document your side or their side.
Your mayor and your city attorney does.
So there may be that there was a miscommunication within the city government, but that's neither here nor there. We have now requested
I understand.
this information.
Your mayor don't tell the truth about nothing, and your city attorney don't tell the truth about nothing, sir.
Thank you for your opinion. Would you now sit down and I will...
Thank you.
All right. So we have requested that information, and that information will come out, and when all the council has the information, we shall base a decision.
This party's over. Y'all want to be the lawyer and the judge tonight. That's over. Y'all need to see what y'all going to do with him. That is over. Read your document. That young man down there on the end, Ding Lady's got it. It's been all in the paper. You can call the courthouse. Everybody in town's talking about it. You're the only one that talked about it, Nate. Where you been?
Well, I talked to you about it, and I told you I didn't want to watch the video.
You ain't talked to me about it here lately. Because you don't know nothing about it. It's been all over the internet. Every judge, every lawyer knows about it. It's a joke. Because your police officers is a joke.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting if we're done with our business.
We have a motion to adjourn. We have a second. We have other information. We have other.
And what you want to do better?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adjourning?
Say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
Thank God for meeting.
Well, you ain't been here.
You know we wouldn't have